straight jackets. Your magic, white rabbit, has left its writing on the wall. We follow like Alice and just keep diving down the hole.
Hi everyone, it's Raven, and this is my Draw My Life. Now I must warn you that I've had some traumatic stuff happen to me throughout my life growing up, but I've also had some great stuff that's happened as well, like all of my Ravers. My story starts back on September 29th, 1986. I was born into the world to be welcomed through a family with my parents and my older sister. My sister actually was the one that picked out my name, well, my first name at least. And my first name, unlike most of you who've come to know me as Raven, that's not my first name. My real first name is actually Nicole. Raven was something that came much later in my life. I have good memories, like my father holding me as he swayed me back and forth and singing Wonderful Tonight to me until I fell asleep. I have other ones where it's him and I sitting in a recliner crammed into it, watching football together. But those memories are far in between. I didn't know why, and I still don't understand why, but my father used to smack my sister around quite a lot. And then one day he just packed everything up while my mother was at work and said he was going to do laundry, and he just never came back. I was 4.5 years old. My mom moved on after the heartbreak, and when things got serious, we ended up moving to a different apartment, and I was super happy about it because my room had this awesome wave pattern ceiling. But that didn't last long. I started to get sick every night and having nightmares about dying and death in general. My mom thought that it may have been too much or too big of a change all at once, and she asked my grandparents to take us in for a little while. The getting sick and the dreams stopped, and we ended up living there for 2 years. We got to go camping and have family nights, even got to go to Disney, which was pretty awesome. My mom did come and get us after the 2 years, and she had this huge surprise for us when she came and got us. It was our very first pet, a cat. I was so super excited. It was so cute. As for grade school, I sucked. And our school system here just really pushes kids along and doesn't really care. Or at least back then. So the things that I should have been learning, like spelling and vocabulary, they're really not the best. I really just kept to myself those years. And it was mostly because I was a fat kid back then. I had maybe like 2 or 3 people that I would have even considered to be my friends. In junior high, I lost a lot of weight and went from being teased as a fatty to being called a slut, even though I had never had a boyfriend until the 9th grade. I even made cheerleading, and it was always humorous because I was a punk goth when it wasn't game day. And then on game days, I had to dress in our uniforms and have to be all preppy and happy and stuff. Needless to say, none of the cheerleaders liked me. That was the year I actually got jumped too, for the very first time. One of the girls that I thought was a friend got cut from the team and basically just didn't make it. She was so mad that she had another girl that was her friend actually jumped me on my way home from school. At the time, it was her and my boyfriend who stood in front of me and watched as the other girl beat me up. I don't think the girl really wanted to beat me up because she threw a few punches, but it didn't really hurt. The only thing that really hurt was she was holding me by my hair. So I pretty much walked away fine. In junior high, I had a good-sized group of friends. But in time, I learned quick that sometimes saying the truth isn't what people need. This is another one of the parts that it gets a little bit more traumatic. A family friend of ours began to abuse me, and I refused to go into details. Other than back then, I thought that I had to, because if I wouldn't, we would end up on the streets and we would be homeless. And the reason why I'm finally sharing this and choosing to go so public with it is because if you are watching this and you're being sexually abused, it's not okay. Tell someone you trust that's an adult. I wish I had someone back then that really said that to me, because I wouldn't have become what I did, and that was a cutter. Something that I do still struggle with no matter what It's just not as bad as it was back then. It's nowhere near as bad as it was back then. It's just that sometimes when you're damaged, it's hard to get repaired to brand new. You're just always got little cracks in you. So instead, I covered my scars with art. My love for tattoos grew from that. I have them all over my arms, and I don't plan on stopping. The abuse did eventually come to an end, but only when my mother had been told that she had breast cancer. Once she had become really sick from the treatments, everyone was so focused on her, as it should have been, and I just think that the guy overall felt guilty. High school sucked. Short version is I got a new boyfriend. Friends didn't like the new boyfriend. I told my friends off, and I lost my friends. Poof. There's a ton more there, but I could be here for days, so I'm not getting into it. So I had the boyfriend and 2 other really close friends for high school. My best friend moved away, and we lost touch over the years. So other than the one friend, I really had no one, and I became weak again, but in a whole new way. Being damaged didn't really help either. I allowed my boyfriend to walk all over me. He was verbally and mentally abusive for almost 3 whole years, and that's not okay either. No one deserves to be told that they're ugly or that they're fat or that they will never find anyone in their life and they will always be alone. And just there's so many horrible things that was said. And I was so afraid of being alone forever that I just let him continue to do that because I believed him. And in the end, he actually ended up cheating on me with his best friend's girlfriend. So here's something rather ironic about the abusive boyfriend. He was actually the reason why I actually had a chance to meet what most of you may know as Master Spook, who is now my husband. He had me go with him to a comic book shop that he was really interested in, and Spook was actually there, and we got a chance to meet. And we actually found out later on that we would have math class together on top of that. So him and I got to know each other and become friends. And then when I got cheated on, I confided in him because he was really the only person that I could talk to. And a couple months down the line, him and I actually got together. So I graduate high school and end up flunking out of college my very first semester because I had a second flare-up of mono that I actually had caught from my best friend back in the 10th grade. Please don't share drinks, food, gum, anything at all that goes in your mouth or near your mouth. That's how this stuff gets spread. I in no way blame her either. I knew that she had that. She wasn't sick at the time, so I didn't know that it could still be passed. So overall, it was more my fault than hers. It was just, she was like a sister to me, and a sister I really didn't have because my sister and I were farther apart in age and didn't really get along. As for college, I just never went back, even though I should have. When I did first start dating Spook, I kind of wanted him as a rebound guy more than a boyfriend, even though he was a friend of mine. And I had made my intentions clear that I kind of just needed someone to be there to get over the ex. Spook had went from being the tough guy outside to behind closed doors. He turned into a really nice guy, and I was not expecting it. He actually says he tricked me, and I ended up falling in love with him. Anyway, we moved out super young at like 18 and shared an apartment with a few different friends at different times just to make ends meet. And then, oops, we're pregnant. Spook is a bit shooken up because of how young we were, and I was super overjoyed because my entire life, all I wanted was to be a mom. I told my mom, and at first I was super scared, but my mom was like super crazy, wake the dead, happy. And the best part is that when I became pregnant, only a few weeks after, my sister thought that she was pregnant, and I had her come over to my apartment, and I tested it for her, because she had no idea what she was doing, and she actually was pregnant. We were both pregnant at the same time. It was so cool. So a few weeks down the line, I'm at work and I just don't feel well. Something I just know is off. And then I finally get someone to come and relieve me from my post to go use the restroom so I could sit down and relax for a second. I had about 30 minutes left in my shift. I had started spotting. At this point in the pregnancy, I was just approaching my second trimester. I was literally a few days away from the second trimester. I start to panic, and being so young, I didn't know what to do. So I went to the head cashier who knew my family, and I explained what was going on and that I really wanted to leave work early because I didn't feel good and I was scared. She basically told me that no, you can't leave work. It's completely normal, and that I have to go back to work because I only have 30 minutes left, and she has no one to fill the spot. I'm only 19 and I don't know better, so I do as she tells me to do. I finish my shift. To me, at that point, that was my only option. I was afraid that if I just walked off the job, that I would get fired, and that if I got fired, I wouldn't have any money. And not having any money means I lose my apartment, and not only do I lose my apartment, but I wouldn't have money for a baby. When I get home, I call my OBGYN. They tell me that no, it wasn't normal, and I should have immediately left work. That what I need to do now, and the only thing that I can do now, is to elevate the lower portion of my body and lay there and not move at all. So I was stuck that way for 3 days. September 1st, 2006. I had a miscarriage. 28 days before my own birthday. Wake Me Up When September Ends becomes a new favorite song, and I no longer enjoy anything about that month. July 2007. Spook and I get married. We weren't even old enough to drink at our own wedding, but I love him more than I did then, if that is even possible. In 2008, I was able to see a few bands in concert. Before the bands came out to play, I was able to get up on stage and play and sing Rock Band in front of a ton of strangers. That to me was awesome in my life because I had always wanted to be a singer. Also, before the concert started, one of the bands, Dragon Force, was dressed up like Slipknot fans. And they ran up to me and they started pointing at me, and then they would point to their sign that had like the word Slipknot concert or something like that, or Slipknot band, and pointing back at me and then back to the sign and like freaking out and acting all crazy. And I'm starting to panic because 1, I don't like crowds, and 2, I really don't like strangers or interacting with strangers. So I'm like, no, I'm not here to see them. And I just try to like turn and like ignore them. When they came out on stage, they were dressed still in the Slipknot costumes. My jaw hit the floor. And then they let their backdrop fall for their new CD. And the girl on the cover of the CD looked exactly like my hairstyle. Like we had the exact same hairstyle. And I was like, oh my God, are you serious? My stomach sunk into my feet. We were like 10 rows back from the front, and the entire concert, the guitarist was trying to throw guitar picks to me, but he just couldn't get it to me. Either they would fall short or they would whiz by me and like go like 5 rows back. So, I mean, that was kind of disappointing, but it was still a really cool time in my life. Then in 2010, we spent all of our savings and then some trying to get help from a doctor to actually get pregnant again, only to be told that I'm infertile. To me, I'm a failure in so many ways because of this, and it plagues me daily. Depression set in hard when I was first told this, and I still battle with depression every day, not only because of this, but this is a big factor of it. Throughout 2011 to 2013, I also had some great opportunities to meet and work with a few celebrities at a convention that I helped at. I know, me at a convention, miss fear of crowds, but it really is different when you're on the other side of the table. You are like in your own personal bubble of protection. The first year of the convention, I got bounced around a lot. I was originally there for the paranormal group that I was in, known as RIP. And as they needed me, I would go to other tables to help out celebrities. That year, to me, was a big year because I got to get more personal with celebrities. It was the first year that the convention started, so it wasn't really big and popular, and you could just get more personal. Back then, the movie series Twilight was still fresh, and I actually got to go pick up one of the actors from it, Cheske Spencer, and I was able to drive him all the way back to the convention, and it was like a 3-hour drive. He was super fun and down to earth. We ended up getting McDonald's on the drive back, and we were singing in the car, and it was just so much fun. I also got to meet and talk with the voice actor Kyle Ebert, who interviewed our paranormal group. I personally wasn't in the interview. I just think it's a little odd that someone like Kyle interviewed our little group. That year was also the same year that I actually got to sit and work with Adrienne Barbeau. And she was the sweetest person I could have ever met. But I ended up catching her cold. Good thing it was the very last day of the event because I was literally sick for like a week afterwards. At one of the later conventions, I was actually assigned to Tony Todd. He is a really tall guy, and I literally felt like a little kid standing next to him and working with him the entire time. But overall, he's just like a huge teddy bear. He was so sweet to every single one of his fans and just so nice and polite, and it was really nice to work with him. Some other great opportunities were brought to me when I was a bigger part of the paranormal group RIP. We had opportunities to work with and meet with members of the TAPS team, and even grew a wonderful friendship with the godfather of the paranormal, John Zaffis, who was awesome enough to work with us on multiple occasions and hang out with us, going to dinner and just meeting up to talk and have fun. And he is also another really sweet, awesome guy. By the end of 2013 and into 2014, my medical issues started bothering me more. I ended up having so many doctors, more than I had ever had in my entire life. I had to take so much medicine that it would mess with me mentally, physically, and I just was sick feeling all the time. And granted, yeah, I knew I was a very sickly child, but this was way worse. Honestly, the only time that I had ever felt healthy was the 3 months that I was pregnant. So because of this, a lot of my journey has slowed and just pretty much stopped. February 9th, 2015. I had a doctor's appointment that I didn't make, and the reason was a head-on car accident. I've never been in more physical pain as I was then, and I am still in now after that accident. At the time, even my lungs hurt because they don't show you in advertisements the amount of just powder and dust that come out of an airbag. And you're just breathing it in, and it hurts so bad. And I realized at that moment, I could have just died. I literally could have just died. The days following, and still to this day, I battle with my inner demons all the time. And sometimes I win, and some days I just lose. The only thing that ever stayed a constant was gaming. Something I had always had my entire life. And that was thanks to my mom and even my grandparents. It was an outlet, being able to shut out the problems and just become someone in a game that can either rescue the day or really F things up. When I realized what a huge impact it had on me, I wanted to share the experiences I had and I'm still having with others. And that brings me back to all of you, my Ravers. I love you guys. You're like family I never got to have. You helped me in so many ways that I can't even say thank you enough. But thank you from the bottom of my heart. Hi Ravers, thanks for sticking around for the entire video. If you like what you saw, please give me a thumbs up. If you're a new Raver, go ahead and click that subscribe button. Stay in touch with me via social media by clicking any of the following links on the screen now. Remember to stay in touch. That's the only way to know if I release new videos, if I'm streaming, or if I'm doing another giveaway. Thank you again. Live, die, respawn. I love you, Ravers. Bye.
Your magic, white Your white room, straight jacket. Your